Hello learners, and now this is the unit number 2. In this unit, you can have the time to express your ideas, your viewpoints on another topic, education. And I think you should know what's the aims of the lesson. So you can see the objectives of the lessons are helping you to improve your ability to engage in natural communication and in public speaking environment. The second one, to help you improve your vocabulary and ability to exchange ideas related to the topic education. The last one is also aimed at helping you to improve your speaking and listening skills. Now, to begin the lesson, you have the time to work in pairs or in groups. Together with your partner or group mates, you should write the alphabet, the English alphabet, on a piece of paper. Next to each other, you write one word connected to the topic education. How many words can you write in 2 minutes? Remember that this activity is to provide you with more vocabulary so that you can have a stock of vocabulary to facilitate your study in the lesson number 2. And then with your partner or group mates, you complete the A to Z quiz. And now, spend some time, several minutes, looking at the questions in A to Z quiz. Pay attention to the word in green color. Now look at the first sentence, for example. The word for you to fill in the blank should begin with the letter A. Okay. So the appropriate word for this question is the academic year. Academic year is the time when there are school or university classes. Now look at the question B. Now which word begins with letter B, and which is appropriate in this context? That is the word break. Break. B-R-E-A-K. Break. In break time. You see, break time, when students can have a breather. In the US, it's called recess, another word for break time. Many people's favorite part of the schools today. And then you go on. In question C, you see, this is a series of lessons in a particular subject. It could be a class course, a refresher course, or a foundation course. And now we move on to the quiz for D, E, F. Now look at your screen. Okay, and how about G? What do you think is the appropriate word for G? It's for graduation day. Graduation day. On this day, you see, in many countries, students wear a cap and gown when they receive their degree. And now you go on with the words for the questions from H to K. For example, look at K. K is for kindergarten. Kindergarten. Children go to this kind of school before the age of 5. Okay. Kicks, knowledge. Okay, and next, from letter L to letter P. Okay. So you can see Q is for qualifications, okay, questions, quizzy, for example. And then you go on until you finish the quiz for J, for Z. Z is for zoology, which you can take a degree in. It's a subject, a science, zoology. And now this is the task one for you to do with your partner. You discuss the following questions. Number one, how important is a university university education in our country? In this question, you should briefly explain the importance of a university degree or education in Vietnam. For example, to help learners to get good job, to help learners gain high social position, to help learners gain the other people's respect, for example. And the question number two, how easy is it to get into university nowadays in Vietnam? You see, in the past, learners used to take a very, very difficult and challenging examination to pass the entrance to universities. However, nowadays, there are other ways to go to university, and you tell them, okay. Now, question number three. What are the most useful subjects to study according to you? You can tell your partners the main subjects in the school curriculum, like mathematics, literature, English, physics, chemistry, etc. Those are the subjects that help them to go to university, to continue the learning at university. The question number four, does a university degree or qualification guarantee a good job? In the task 2, you should mark the sentence like this. If they are true in our country, Vietnam, and you put a cross if they are not true. And if any ideas you are not sure, please put a question mark. Then you correct the sentences that are not true. And in pairs, you compare and discuss your answers. The last, you have to tell your partners which of those things would you like to change in our country, Vietnam. The last one, you think of 3 other things about the education system in our country that you would like to change, and you compare your answers with other students. Here are the ideas for you to discuss and to exchange ideas. You should look again at the requirements of the task. So the first step, look at the ideas, put the mark or the cross or the question mark. Okay, and now the second step, you should correct the ideas that you think are not right, are not correct or suitable to our country, Vietnam. For example, look at the second column. School children are allowed to smoke during breaks. In our country, Vietnam, school children are never allowed to smoke during breaks, or in particular or in general during the school time. Okay, so this idea is wrong. You can correct this idea by saying like this: oh, I'm sorry, but I don't think so. I think school children in Vietnam are never allowed to smoke during the break time. if they did so, they would be seriously punished by the school, for example. You can say like that. Or another idea, lectures are often attended by more than 500 students. Oh, I think it's not correct at all. In Vietnam, the home is not big enough to hold more than 500 students for a lecture. The maximum number of students for a lecture is about 150 or more. Okay. And in task 3, you are required to tell your viewpoints, what you really think about the 3 various approaches of teaching and learning. And you can also tell your partner if you have any experience of these methods or not. The first one is child-centered learning. What is child-centered learning? It briefly means that the focus of learning on the children or on the pupil, not the teacher. So you can see this method is now currently applied in kindergarten. The second method, mixed abilities teaching. According to this method, pupils at different levels, different learning capacities are taught together. And the last one, the discovery methods. In this method, pupils are not taught. Remember, pupils are not taught at all. They are given the opportunity to find out things for themselves. So it's a time for you to share your thoughts, your viewpoints, your ideas with your partners or group mates. You should explain what you really think. For example, child-centered learning. The advantages of child-centered learning are the following. For example, it helps children to develop their creativeness. It helps children to form their confidence, for example. Okay. How about the discovery methods? At the first look, discovery methods may bring all the benefits to the learners or students or children. However, in order to facilitate the learners, the students and children very well, according to this method, the teachers have to work a lot to prepare everything, to give them the ideas, the suggestions, or maybe the project, for example. In short, to give your viewpoints in this task, you should give the advantages and disadvantages of each of the 3 methods mentioned here. And in the task number 4, you are provided a chance to discuss with your partner or group mates about the life skills you learn at school or university. If you look at the pictures, you can see it illustrates a complex of things you study, you learn at school or university. You see, learning is carried out together with identity and self-awareness, with fitness and health, with emotional developments, with solving problems. It also in accordance with kindness, intimacy, living in balance, letting go and holding on, and social skills. So, learning is the complex of getting the life skills. And then in this task, you are required to discuss the following questions. Were you taught many practical skills at school or was the focus mainly on school curriculum? I mean the academic subjects. And then, how many of the things below did you learn? Which do you think would have been most useful for you in your whole life, currently or in the future? And here are the things in the list. Have a look at it. You have to ask yourself the question, did I learn foreign languages at school? Did I learn how to work in a team? Or you can raise the questions to ask your partner. For example, have you learned note-taking and study skills at school? Have you learned anything about racism awareness? At school, I used to learn sex education. How about you? Did you learn it? The task number 5 is also the last task of the Unit 2 education. It's also the most challenging and the most difficult task for you because it requires you a lot of energy. It requires you to provide your partners or your group mates or the listeners a lot of things related to your knowledge, your social skills, your education, your background, etc. Number 1, you should devise. Devise means create a set of tips on one of the following subjects. For example, one of the following topics. For example, revising for exam, the best ways to learn a foreign language quickly, how to improve English speaking skill, how to find the best English course or university course to suit your needs. In order to answer these questions, to fulfill the task number 1 quite well, you should apply some structures giving advice. For example, you'd better, I think you should, in my opinion, you can, if I were you, I would, for example. Now, let's devise a set of tips for the best ways to learn a foreign language quickly. For example, you can begin like this. In my opinion, you should listen to music or watch foreign movies daily. The second, you'd better spend time practice speaking, listening, reading, and writing skills every day, for example. Remember, in this task, you should provide your advice through the structure, like I think you should, you'd better, if I were you, I would, or you'd rather, for example. Now, number 2, in life, experience and ability are more important than qualification. Do you agree or not? You have to explain. Number 3, being successful depends more on who you know than on what you know. Is that true? Remember, in this question, you have to mention the reality of the society today. Nowadays, it's the fact that many people get high social position, get good job, or get promotion thanks to their special relationship with a special person. Okay, so you should mention this point. Number 3, do you think that going to university is about doing things for yourself and finding out who you are? Remember, in this question, your answer should Okay, your answer should identify the idea like the benefits you gained by going to university, and during the time at university, do you yourself identify you, not other ones do that for you. And the question number 4, the most successful people in life are not always the best educated. What do you think? The best educated here means getting the high degree at university, or getting the high, the high education, the academic institution. Okay, it's not necessary that successful people must be the best educated person. And you can tell some examples, some real people. Okay. And the last one, number 5, you think about the typical order in which you do things in your lives. For example, a school, university, job, marriage, children, retirement. Do you think it's the best way to structure your lives and to make them interesting and dynamic? And if not, what alternative ways can you think of?